just in reality made a historical forum. But the picture appeared above the canopy of various dynasties just when all the ancients looked up at the sky. When curious, a loud and powerful voice suddenly it sounded from the sky. Do you want to be emperor? Emperors of different periods regarding this rebellious statement. Extremely angry. How dare you say such a thing? I don't want to live anymore. This is a challenge to the imperial power. The next emperor. Only one person can decide. That is the emperor. I just showed my filial piety to the students in the audience. Raise your hands if you want to be an emperor. The words just fell. Everyone in the audience raised their hands. Teacher, do you still need to ask? You must think about it. Xinjiang Tianxiaquan. Falling into the heart of a beautiful woman is a man's ultimate dream. That is, if I become the emperor. The first thing is to announce the cancellation of English exams all over the world. Who dares to say that I failed? I will kill all 9 of his clans. Shallow. If I were allowed to travel through time and become a queen, I would raise a lot of experts. I watch them fight in the palace every day, and I will favor whoever is handsome. It feels so good to think about that feeling. In their eyes, the word emperor represents lawless privilege. However, at the other end of parallel time and space, this conversation caused a completely different shock. The Qin dynasty Xianyang Square was deathly silent. Those black armor, Switzerland and cultural relics officials. At this moment, everyone was pale and sweating profusely. In their cognition, the emperor is the supreme god. Cancel exam. All 9 tribes. What a ridiculous statement this is. Imperial power is a trivial matter. The descendants of future generations will take my status away. Considered a place of pleasure. Presumptuous. Simply presumptuous. How dare a woman say such nonsense? Which dynasty is this? The 9 tribes who were about to help him. Biao, listen. These are our people after the Ming dynasty. Everyone wants to be an emperor. They want to go crazy. Not yet in court. We get up at 5 o'clock every day and go to bed in the middle of the night. These bastards actually want to be fools. Zhu Yuanzhang was born in poverty. I hate corrupt officials and idle people the most. I heard someone openly proclaiming that he wanted to be a fool. He wished he could give each of the students a meal and a suspension of their accounts. I knocked on the blackboard to signal everyone to be quiet. Very good. Everyone wants to be the emperor. It's nothing more than having the most power and the most money. No one dares to care about you. In your cognition and even in the cognition of most people, the emperor is the top of the food chain, the only playthrough winner in the entire history of the game, right? Isn't it? The non-kingly soil under the earth and sky. The whole world is mine. I can do whatever I want. Not to mention this. As a lecturer in the history department, today I want to talk to you about benevolence, righteousness and morality. There is no talk about military power or mythical beasts. We use modern limelight logic. Let's do an IPO road show analysis for the emperor profession. Honey. Teacher, don't scare people. How dangerous is what? The worst case scenario is that he will be poisoned to death. He also felt happy all his life. Since you are so confident, then let's look at a set of data. In Chinese history, Qin Shi Huang has been the emperor since then. Until the fall of the Qin dynasty, there are more than 400 named emperors in total. Among them, there are more than 200 emperors who can be tested in their lifetime. The average life expectancy is only 39.2 years. 39 years old. I am already in my 40s this year. Have I already lived beyond the average? No. This is not possible. My great Qin wants everything to be passed down forever. How dare this monster curse me? Nonsense. I'm going to kill him. And that's just the average. If you exclude a few gifts with long standby time, this number will be even lower. Classmates, your average life expectancy now is 77 years. That is to say, being an emperor means your life 50% off directly. What's more terrifying is behind. Among these emperors died of suicide and suicide after being forced to abdicate. Abnormal mortality of unexplained death up to 44%. What does this mean? Meaning as long as you sit in that chair, you have half the chance. Your son, your wife, your brother, your uncle, even the eunuch next to you, hacked to death. Death with a poisoned wine jar, suffocate with pillows and so on. Do you think workplace involution is painful? That's because you haven't seen the inner scroll of Huangquan. You can't do your job well in modern times. The boss will fire you at most. But in that position, are your KPIs not up to standard? Even you are too qualified. There are only 2 words waiting for you. At this moment, everything was silent. Modern students look at each other. The hot blood just now has cooled down a little. And the ancient emperors. But I felt a bone-chilling chill. From the sole of the foot, it goes straight to the Tianlin cap. Because of every way I said to die. They are all too familiar. Brother, my son was hacked to death. Is this half the chance? Teacher, that's because the medical conditions were not good in the past, and there were always people who did well. For example, Qin Shi Huang was the only emperor of all time, so he couldn't be so miserable. Even if this young man still has some eyesight, I can sweep across the 6-head Wei family. How can those mediocre masters be compared? My destiny is bound to be as great as your majesty's majesty. From a long life, there will be no good luck in everything. Since Qin Shi Huang, this scholar, mentioned Zheng. Then let's break down a specific enterprise case. We view the Qin Empire as a company that has just completed a violent merger and acquisition. Qin Group, a supergroup company that was successfully listed. Zheng is the founder and CEO of this group. His resume is indeed impressive, having acquired 6 competitors. Unify the market, unify weights and measures, and unify writing. From a business perspective, this is an unprecedented achievement. Although this young man's vocabulary is weird, it can be heard that he is praising me. Yes, I am that super CEO. But if we look at the financial report, the operating status of this Qin group, it's a disaster-level mess. The first is the founder's work intensity. Historical records. Zheng had to review 120 kilograms of memorials every day. Note that you pick them up one by one. Convert to word count. Read at least hundreds of thousands of words every day. And there are no weekends or holidays. This is not like being an emperor. This is clearly a top social animal. He is the most senior wage earner in the world. Chapter 996 is still cruel. This is 7. Not only that, the company's internal management is extremely high pressure. The harsh punishments include physical punishment and imprisonment at every turn. This means that the employee turnover rate and rebellion rate are extremely high. Zheng thought he could manage everything with fear, but he forgot that under high pressure, there must be a rebound. The most fatal thing is the collapse of the inheritance mechanism. Zheng is in this position for the company's listing and expansion. All the energy was exhausted. He wholeheartedly pursues immortality and a foundation in everything. As a result, the second generation of the Qin dynasty died. What did you say? The second generation died. Impossible. My great Qin wants to pass on everything. I have Fusu and I have Montaigne. I still have 300,000 Great Wall troops. How could it be possible for the second generation to die? And the ending of this eternal emperor is extremely ironic. He died on his 5th journey. The body stinks, and no one dares to mourn. To cover up the body odor, his personal secretary, Zhao Gao, and Prime Minister Li Si. He even put a bunch of abalone in the motorcade. After the death of the ancestor dragon, hang out with abalone. He was assassinated by his own henchmen. The edict was tampered with. The eldest son was stabbed to death. The youngest son was puppet. Classmates. This is called entrepreneurship. Unaccompanied by middle-of-the-road customs. Not only did people die, but the money was not spent. The company was also ruined by a prodigal son in 3 years. If you are Zheng, is it a good deal? This general silence enveloped Xianyang Palace. Because the details I described are too specific. Touring Zhao Jialisi, the corpses stank. This was even true for the fact that he had been unwell recently. Abalone masks the smell of corpses. Zhao Jialisi, what this trumpet says is what is in your heart. Your Majesty, please spare your life. Your Majesty, please spare your life. My humble minister is loyal to His Majesty, and this can be demonstrated every day. This is a monster who is trying to alienate people with his evil words, Your Majesty. Does anyone still want to be the Qin Shi Huang? Very good. Since everyone is no longer interested in the entrepreneurial Emperor Qin Shi Huang, then let's change the type. Since starting a business is too tiring, how about we become rich second generations? For example, Liu Che, Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty. The treasury is full and the troops are competing against each other. This should be fun. This monster. Is it time to start settling the real accounts again? Before talking about Hanwoo Holdings, we have to clear things up first. The last bad debt left by the Qin group. A classmate said just now, Qin Shi Huang built the Great Wall. The success of Zhuqi Road lies in Qinqiu Mansion. This is true. From a macro-historical perspective, this is a great infrastructure. But if we cut back to the financial statements at that time, it was a complete disaster. This is the cash flow of the Qin Empire. I built the Great Wall to prevent the Xiongnu from going south. Protect our Chinese people. This is the result of everything. This generation only knows how to calculate gold and silver. Do you know my good intentions? It's good to be on guard against the Huns. That's an excuse. But does anyone know how much it costs? Nearly 1 million workers were used to build the Great Wall, accounting for 1/20th of the country's total population at that time. That means every 20 people, one of them was dragged to move bricks. And it's not just the human costs. In this project, mortality rates are conservative. It is estimated to be above 30%. Folk legend says that Meng Jiannu cried at the Great Wall. Do you think it's just a touching love story? It was a class action lawsuit filed by countless broken families. It's the words of the Colossus that are boiling with public dissatisfaction. It was not the city wall that Meng Jiannu cried down. It is the credit rating of the Qin Empire. Zheng thought she was building a wall to defend against foreign enemies. In fact, she was using the bones of common people. Build a wall to isolate the people. When a company's core assets, people, are excessively depleted. When all cash flow and taxes are swallowed up by ineffective infrastructure. Being a CEO and an emperor is to satisfy your own sense of security and overdrawn the national calendar for the next 50 years. Collapse is the only outcome. That sound from Chen Sheng and Wu Guan. The princes and generals have a kindred spirit. Just the straw that broke the camel's back. It's just a court summons for bankruptcy liquidation. Thunder was rolling outside Mianyang Palace. Ing Zheng's face was as pale as a finger. The Great Wall he was proud of. He is a man of glorious merit. Those corrupt officials kneeling on the ground. Suddenly, I found that there was nothing but fear in their eyes. It seemed like I was tired again. It turns out I was really wrong. Okay, we've finished talking about the Qin dynasty's bankruptcy case. Next, we officially enter the IPO roadmap of Hanwoo Holdings. When Liu Che, Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty, took over the company. It was simply a start from Tianhu. His grandfather was Emperor Wen of Han and his father was Emperor Jing of Han. That's a notoriously stingy boss. Even the dragon robe he wore was old. I don't want to spend money on building a terrace. The two men have worked hard to save money for 60 years. There were so many copper coins in the treasury that the rope was rotten. There was so much food in the granary that it turned moldy. This is simply Angel and Syriza investors. A mountain of gold saved for Liu Che. He feels that he would be a fool to save money and not spend it. He has a great dream to fight the Huns. This is certainly true. It is just to fight back against the invaders. But due to lack of cost control awareness, the rate at which this rich second-generation CEO burns money, it can be called a crime in human history. Horses are needed for war. What should the Han dynasty do if they are short of horses? Buy a foreign wall. For a few horses with Chinese blood, he can send tens of thousands of troops to conquer Dewan. More than half of them were killed or injured in one round. Hundreds of millions of dollars were spent on the military just to exchange for dozens of horses. What is this called? It's called taking a sip of milk. Killed an entire ranch of cattle. That is a Pegasus, an important weapon of the country. With Pegasus, only the cavalry of the Han dynasty can be improved. Mahjong. Only then can we catch up with the Huns. What strategy does this number understand? Understand the long term. I know someone is going to wash the floor. Say it's for strategy. Okay, let's settle the score. Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty reigned for 5 or 4 years. I have been waiting for the account for 4 or 4 years. In his later years, the treasury was empty. There were once mountains of copper coins. And food are all gone. Not only is it gone, but it's also a huge debt. What did he do to make money? The Salt and Iron franchise is the most profitable controversy. All were nationalized and operated as a monopoly. Although this strengthened centralization, but it also stifled market vitality. The most terrible thing is to issue an order to leave. This is simply the most shameless robbery policy in history. Encourage people to report each other. Who has money but doesn't pay taxes? The whistleblower can get half of the family property. For a time, the whole country was full of informers. The middle class was almost wiped out. Business stocks went bankrupt and the people became extremely poor. Where is the governance of the country? This is obviously killing the chicken to get the eggs, taking advantage of the blame. Classmates, if you live in the later years of Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty, there is a high probability that you are not being used as cannon fodder on the battlefield. It was reported by neighbors at home. Hidden $100. Then his house was confiscated by the government. Damn it. They report each other and divide the family property. This is too dark. I thought it was the era of Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty. Everyone is quite rich. This is simply hell mode. The imperial court is going to implement the proclamation order. Property must be confiscated and exiled to the frontier. People on the streets of Chang'an looked at the sky in horror. Many wealthy businessmen were so frightened that they became weak. I just want to defeat the Huns. Liu Qi's voice became much lower, as if trying to convince myself. If you don't beat the big guy, you will be ravaged by the Huns. I am here for the big man. It's for the big man. Or for your face. If only you ran out of money. Emperor Wu of the Han dynasty may still be considered one. A hero with flaws. But as a dictator, as we age, inevitably he got it. An occupational disease. Paranoia of power being persecuted. In old age. Inside this Hanwoo-controlled company, the atmosphere was oppressive and suffocating. The CEO has become suspicious and irritable as he gets older. Incomprehensible. He felt that everyone was out to harm him. Everyone is based on his position. Thus, the most tragic family ethics tragedy in history. A witchcraft disaster occurred. Witchcraft. That was a palace taboo. Who dares to do this under my nose? Students, just think about it. You are a father. You have a son that you have nurtured for over 30 years. He is your prince. Generous and kind. Everyone thought he would be a good emperor. You also had high hopes for him. But when you get old and sick, looking at his young and strong son, you no longer see him as hope. Do you think he is a threat? So because of the frame-up by a few treacherous ministers, because of several wooden figures buried underground, you believe your son is cursing you. You forced your son to send troops to protect himself. In the end, he committed suicide after defeat. Your grandson is also dead. Your queen, the Wei Zifu who has been with you for decades. Finally, he committed suicide out of despair. Tens of thousands of people were implicated in this case and executed. Half of the city of Chang'an was filled with blood. Kill your wife, kill your children, kill your grandchildren. This is the answer sheet handed over by Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty in his later years. As he stood in the empty palace, looking at the blood all over the ground. Did he win? He lost everything. He cut off his own bloodline with his own hands. He personally destroyed his own successor team. Zhu'er. I don't dare. I have absolutely no intention of doing so. I killed Zhu'er. Forced Zihu to death. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How could I be so confused? How could I be so cruel? I am a demon. This is alienation. The poisonous plan of my flesh and blood. OMG. Kill your wife and children. What does it mean to be an emperor? Aren't you just a loner in the end? Yes, this is what being a loner really means. The pinnacle of power is absolute loneliness. In this position, no one is your relative. Everyone is your imaginary enemy. So back to the question at the beginning. The risk is that the family will be destroyed. Sentence clear and severe. Die and die. He will be scolded for thousands of years after his death. It's been fun for decades. Maybe it's not that good yet, because most of the time is spent reviewing memorials and fighting. Does anyone still want to be Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty? No one spoke. In fact, Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty himself regretted it in the end. Regret. I am regretting it. 2 years before his death, he stood on the platform and looked at the devastated country. Thinking back to his dead son and wife, he finally woke up. He made a move that is extremely rare in history. The most crowded mega-tier mega. An emperor admits to the world that he was wrong. Admit that you are a crazy person. Admit that you have made the people miserable. How sad this is. How bad is it? Stab him to win over the Huns. But he lost his life. Am I wrong? Zhu'er, I won't kill you. I will never kill you. Emperor Qin and Emperor Wu of Han. A business goes bankrupt. A late life collapse. It seems that the careers of these two big guys. Not everyone is satisfied. Then let's change to a more perfect sample. One with almost no negative reviews in history. He is revered as Jianke Khan for his civil and martial arts skills. Men who have reached their peak. Li Shimin, Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty. If Qin Huang is a hot-tempered entrepreneur, Han Wu is a prodigal rich second generation. Then Li Shimin is one top all-round product manager. He is not only a military genius, able to control Zengwen's aspirations, he is also particularly good at being a public relations monk. From the data point of view, his ROI on Rai is ridiculously high. It seems that future generations' evaluation of me is acceptable. Although the product manager doesn't know what he means, but it should sound like a compliment. Your Majesty's holy virtue will shine through the ages. Later generations will naturally admire them. But, as soon as these two words came out, Li Shimin's heart twitched violently. This is what he is most afraid of hearing now. But Li Shimin's life, they are all paying for a huge stain. In order to clear this stain, he even became a severe obsessive-compulsive disorder patient. You know the changes in Xuanwu Gate, right? No. Is the killing so intense? Yes. Murderous and violent. The day of Xuanwu Gate, he shot his eldest brother Li Jianqing to death with his own hands. He also had his younger brother Li Yuanji strangled to death. Then he was covered in snow, standing in front of his father Li Yuan. The history books are well written. His name is Gaozu Hairan. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is forced into the palace. From that moment on, Li Shimin suffered from it. Severe legality, anxiety disorder. Legitimacy anxiety. This word is too precise. Precise as a sting. It went straight into his heart. The most secret corner. Yes. He was anxious and fearful. He was afraid of dreaming back at midnight. I saw my brother's unjust soul demanding his life. Even more afraid of the pen in the envoy's hand. Write him as a traitor who usurped the throne. And the way of heaven is easy to reincarnate. Li Shimin made a bad start in violently seizing power. This led to the complete collapse of the inheritance system in the middle and late Tang dynasty. Since dad can kill his brother to get the upper hand, then why can't I kill dad? Li Shimin in his later years. His son Li Qingqian rebelled. His favorite son, Mrs. Li, is also eyeing him covetously. In the end, he could only pass the throne to the one who seemed to be the most honest and rational. He watched his sons kill each other. Isn't it very similar to when Li Yuan watched him and Li Jianqing kill each other? This is retribution. Is the curse of power. Qingqian. Tire. What did I do wrong? I just want to save this world. If it is built into the upper position, the Tang dynasty will be in chaos. I am for the common people. Why do we still need to retaliate on my son? Listen to what you say. It feels like he is a poor man who has been counting his sins all his life. Pitiful. Maybe. But in Game of Thrones, there are no pitiful people. There are only survivors. Then the Emperor Qin and the Wutang sect of Han Dynasty. We have analyzed these three top players in history. One is exhausted, a regretful death. One is frightened to death. Next we will talk about a more extreme case. From a beggar to an emperor. Created the myth of counterattack. But it also created a new chapter in human history. The man with the most perverted management system. If we say the first few are still engaged in corporate governance, then this one directly takes over the Ming Empire. It became a high-pressure prison. Let's take a look. In the mouth of your thick-blooded dog. What kind of ivory can you spit out? If what you say is wrong, even if we chase him to the end of the world, he'll skin you too. Fill in with grass. Zhu Yuanzhang, Taizu of Ming Dynasty. This boss entrepreneurial story, it can be said to be the most inspiring history of low-level counterattacks in China. A late start. The ending is a world-beating one. From beggars to the chairman of the Ming Empire. How many levels are there in between? It's a miracle. But it is precisely because he comes from a lower-class background. He understood the evil of human nature better than any emperor, and more insecure than anyone else. So he designed the most stringent surveillance system in human history. Jinyui. Today's companies are, at best, on your computer. Install monitoring software. See if you can catch a fish. Zhu Yuanzhang is different. He directly installed the surveillance camera in the minister's bedroom. Song Lian, the leader of the famous civil servants, invited guests to dinner. The next day, the prosperous dynasty. Zhu Yuanzhang asked him with a smile, "What did you drink yesterday? What food did you eat? What guests were invited?" Song Lian answered truthfully. Zhu Yuanzhang said happily that he didn't lie to me. Then he took out a picture. On it was painted the seat where Song Lian had eaten yesterday. Even the dishes on the table are clearly drawn. That's pretty mild for those who are corrupt and disobedient. Zhu Yuanzhang invented peeling stone grass. Peel off your skin. Stuff straw inside. Finally make a specimen. Standing at the door of the yamen. Give your successor the first look at work every day. I saw the remains of my ex-classmates. If you join such a company, boss, monitor you 24 hours a day. I will make you into a specimen at every turn. Salaries are still the lowest in history. What will you do? Resign. Resignation is not allowed in Ming Dynasty. Do you dare to resign? Just don't give the emperor face. The end is still death. This is the high-pressure prison. Can get in but can't get out. It's your duty to do a good job. Failure to do so is a capital offense. We kill corrupt officials for the sake of the people. Those who are officials. Which ass is clean? We want kill. The Ming Dynasty is about to perish. The ministers knelt on the ground, shivering. They understand that fear all too well because of how they feel now. It's exactly like how I described it. Going to court every day was like going to the execution ground. Suddenly appeared under the sky a translucent golden dialogue box suspended above the palaces of various dynasties. The lecturer has a sharp point of view. Do you want to tip or ask questions? Reward. Can this marquee also be used as a gift? Since this young man is so bold, if we can shut him up or ask him to say something nice, wouldn't it save our face? Someone comes. Bring us our favorite Dahongpo and go to the underwear to pick out a good piece of Hetian. Give us a reward for him. Tell him if he dares to talk nonsense again. Although we can't reach him, but let him know the majesty of the Emperor of Heaven. Move with Zhu Yuanzhang's thoughts. That priceless piece of jade and a jar of the best tea, actually in full view of the public, turned into a golden light. He got directly into the sky. So said Zhu Yuanzhang's psychological state. In fact, it's typical. Suddenly the air above the podium. There was a strange twist. A piece of warm and clear jade and a jar of tea wrapped in bright yellow satin. He appeared on the table out of thin air. The whole class fell silent instantly. Teacher, what is that? Do you do magic? Young people accumulate virtue through their mouths. This is to reward you. Save some face for daming. It turns out I'm not talking about stand-up comedy. It seems that our chairman Zhu, watching the live broadcast, classmates, just now it was special effects interaction. This is for me to add. Classroom fun, specially prepared magic session. But only I know. That's really where it comes from. The hush money for the top brother of the Ming Dynasty. Boss Zhu, your gift. I received it. But as a professional auditor, don't check the account after receiving the gift. That's not my style. Since you care about face so much. So what's next for us? It's even more important to talk about it carefully. It's the opposite. Where is the fairy here? This is obviously a robe. Our jade. It turns out that you can use treasures to communicate with this person. Go quickly and get my Suiho Zhu. I want to ask him, why did the great Qin dynasty die? And the elixir of immortality. Are there any future generations? Give me a reward. I want to ask him, what happened to my giant son in the end? Is there any way to rewrite the ending? As long as he can save Jewel, I can reward him with Weiyang Palace. This person understands people's hearts. Understand the principles of future generations. I really don't want to hear anything else. I just want to know. In the eyes of future generations, am I a good person? Since Boss Zhu is so polite, then let's put down his account book first. Just now we talked about Li Shimon's legitimacy and anxiety. I know this moment. Our classmate Li Erfen must be feeling very sad. This was the name of the school when I was a kid. How come this young man knows everything? In fact, Li Shimon's pain. It's because he really wants to be a perfect idol. It is a fact that he killed his brother and forced his father. In ancient Confucian ethics, this was a capital crime. So he worked hard and tried his best to be good to the people, just to cover up the original sin with performance. But Li Erfen, have you ever thought about it? Maybe people in future generations don't care at all how you came to power. Not give a damn about. How could you not care? I killed my own brother. Classmates, do you care that Li Shimon killed his brother? Don't care. If you become a king, please pay homage. And if Li Jianqing has the ability, he can also choose Li Shimin. The key is that Li Shimin did a good job as emperor. Tian Kuhanyi. All nations come to worship Jesus. If I lived in the Tang dynasty, I would also choose Li Shimin. That is, Li Jianqing's kind of eternal wealth. Just let him be the emperor. It is estimated that the Tang dynasty would be too late within a few years. Did you hear that? This is how people will evaluate you more than 1,000 years later. We are not blind. We can see the prosperity of Zhenguan. I can see that you released the maid and reduced the tax payment. I can see your awareness that water can carry a boat and it can also restore it. So stop worrying. Your throne was won by your own ability. It's also based on your performance. Not only are you legal, you still have to compare. Ever since the day of the Xuanwu Gate incident, night began. He never had a good night's sleep. He is afraid of the dark, afraid of ghosts, and afraid of Takuma. He thought he would always be a sinner. Guanyin coin. Did you hear that? They said it was a one-for-one comparison. This did not bring shame to the Li family. Heard it personally. Future generations will understand you. This is stronger than anything else. Well, Li Shimin's psychological counseling is over. Next we have to come back. Let's talk about Zhu Yuanzhang, the top brother on the list just now. Boss Zhu just gave me a piece of jade. Let me give you some face. I played with the jade wall and smiled half-heartedly. But it's a pity. History is objective. Face is earned by oneself, not given by others. Let's continue talking about the company Daming. Zhu Yuanzhang felt that his energy was unlimited. Feel like you are smarter than everyone else. He disliked the decentralization of power among the prime ministers. I think the middlemen make the difference. So we simply abolished the prime minister system. What does that mean? This means that this family has tens of millions of people, a vast super empire, all decision-making authority, all concentrated in his hands. This is called the ultimate in flat management. Sounds efficient, right? There is no middle layer. The CEO only cares about the front line. But hey, race the thing. The CEO is made of meat, not AI. Gu Yuanzhang reads hundreds of memorials every day, handle hundreds of things. Even if Aunt Zhang, the head of the village, lost her pig, this kind of thing may end up on his desk. He turned himself into a super CPU, and it's made from a box of single wire, trying to run a huge operating system. The result is overload. He is very tired. Every day before dawn, a memorial was issued. Wait until late at night. Sometimes, I am so tired that my eyes cannot read clearly. But you still have to grit your teeth and persist. Because he doesn't trust anyone to hand over power. It doesn't matter if we are tired. As long as the Ming dynasty is stable, people will not be bullied. We are willing to die from exhaustion. If you want to be exhausted, that's your business. But have you ever thought about it? What about your descendants? Your heir? Do you have as much physical strength as you? Do you have such a high IQ? Are you as perverted and controlling as you? When your super CPU is scrapped, replace it with a low-end version of the processor. For example, your grandson Zhu Yunhuan, or those weird emperors that came later. Faced with huge data flows, their only end is a dead chicken. Therefore, in the middle and late Ming dynasty, emperors began to go on strike one after another. Emperor Wanli did not go to court for 30 years. The emperor of his family practiced immortality and alchemy every day. Emperor Tianqi hid in the palace and worked as a carpenter. Why? Because this system is not designed for normal people at all. Only a superman like Zhu Yuanzhang can barely function. A normal person would be exhausted if he sat on it. Or you can only choose to escape. Give the power to the eunuch. As a result, Ming dynasty appeared in history. The most bizarre sight. Eunuchs govern the country. Eunuch. Yen Shu. What we hate most is eunuchs interfering in politics. We established the iron. Eunuchs were not allowed to read. Not allowed to interfere in politics. Descendants. Who dares to use eunuchs? Let's kill him. And according to my logic, that's exactly why he deposed the prime minister. As a result, the emperor couldn't do it. Only then did he have to rely on the eunuch. This is simply a perfect endless loop. He planted it with his own hands. Because the evil consequences, except for the collapse of the management system, Zhu Yuanzhang also did something else. A salary system with the characteristics of a feudal farmhouse. Zhu Yuanzhang was afraid of evil when he was a child, so he stipulates, as long as it belongs to Lao Zhu's family. Once you are born, the country will take care of you. No work, no taxes. Wages are paid per capita. The more children you have, the more you receive. But Zhu Yuanzhang forgot to calculate well. The first generation can afford to raise a few sons. Dozens of grandchildren in the second generation are okay too. But by the end of the Ming dynasty, the descendants of the Zhu family have multiplied to hundreds of thousands. These hundreds of thousands of pigs only eat, but do nothing. It ate up more than half of the fiscal revenue of the Ming dynasty. Taxation in Hunan, Shaanxi, and other places. Not even enough to feed the local prince. The people were so hungry that they ate only one child. But the princes used pearls to cook porridge in the palace. The country's blood has been sucked dry. The army cannot pay military salaries. Finally, Li Zicheng came to Beijing. These pampered princes slaughtered like pigs and sheep. Zhu Yuanzhang, do you think you love your descendants? No, you are feeding poison. You have personally formulated a parasite breeding plan. Finally bring your daming. All that was left was an empty shell. Hundreds of thousands of parasites. Take advantage of Ming Dynasty. Are we really wrong? Is what Mr. Bien said true? Have we harmed Ming Dynasty? Boss Zhu, I know this is hard to accept, but this is history repeating itself. As a versatile short drama director, I have to tell you how the play ends. Only the ending is known. You are in this parallel time and space. Only then can I have a chance to change my play. Alright, today's first half of Emperor IPO analysis. That's the end. In the next lesson we will enter a more exciting part. All dynasties will be tried together. Class is over. Send an order to stop making alchemy. Zhao Lizi. I want to fix the law. I want a constitution. I want to create that kind of risky limelight. Abolish the warning order. The signs of sin come in advance. Starting today, the prince founded the country. I am about to learn to be an angel investor. Biao Chuan refers to Xue Fan. Cut off the salaries of those bastards. Who dares to dissent? Let him come to us. And what kind of cabinet? Let's study it. We don't want to die from exhaustion. Soon, the next class has also started. I walked back to the blackboard. The Ming prison was wiped out. If Qin Han is a powerful group, Daming is a family business. So Great Song Dynasty. It is a typical company with abundant cash flow. But it is an upstart company that is extremely lacking in security capabilities. The CEOs of this company, a common form of rickets. The creed of their envelope is problems that can be solved with money. Never fight, even if the other person rides on his neck and shits. As long as you can spend money to buy peace. They're also happy to dig into their pockets. And the great master of this culture. That's what we're going to talk about next. This is Zhao Go, Emperor Gaozong of the Song Dynasty. Zhao Go of the Southern Song Dynasty held one famous Persian cat, enjoying the singing and dancing of West Lake. When you hear me in the canopy, the roll call hand shook. The cat almost fell. What happened to me? Although I am on the safe side, it is easy. But that was for recuperation. This saved the people from the war. Isn't this a merit? Officials are wise. People of this later generation don't understand politics. It will only become a matter of words. I directly tore this pair of monarchs apart. The last fig leaf. Zhao Go gave him the nickname Wanyan Go. This is a very insulting nickname. Zhao Go's face appeared. It instantly grew into the color of a bamboo pole. Presumptuous. Treason. I am the emperor of the Song Dynasty. Where did the amazing surname come from? This is slander. Let's analyze it. Zhao Go's workplace operations. At that time, the Song was a company facing bankruptcy and reorganization. The shame of Jingkang, the original chairman, Huizong and general manager Qingzong. They were all captured by the rival Jin kingdom. Zhao Go is the only heir. A new company was established in the south, the Southern Song Dynasty. At this time his subordinates. There is a person with extremely strong business ability. Regional sales director. Lead the team to gain market share. Grabbed it back bit by bit. Even hit it at one point. Competitors' doorsteps. This director's name is Yu Fei. Follow normal logic. The company has such talents. The CEO should give him a raise and a promotion. Give options. Let him continue to expand his territory. Right? Guide Huang Long. Destroyed the kingdom of Jin. Won back the gray and green emperors. Then here comes the problem. The legal representative of this company. Whose name is it? The old chairman is back. Zhao Go. Where will this current CEO go? It's about giving way to talents, or be an embarrassing emperor. For Zhao Go, the security of the throne, far above the territorial integrity of the country. In his eyes, keeping your chair comes first. As for half of the country in the north, that's a sacrificial sunk cost. Yu Fei at this time, I am deeply shocked. Looking at the dazzling curtain in the sky, the shackles on him return to the army, but the spine is still straight. Hear my analysis. The tough guy closed his eyes. 2 lines of blue tears passed by, cheeks full of intestines. Is Guanjia so fragrant? That little bit of Guanjia in Yu Fei's heart. It's just a fantasy deceived by a traitor. Completely shattered. He thought. He entered the center in Weigua. I wonder if it's on the emperor's chessboard. He was already won. The spirit must be eaten. Therefore, in order to prevent Yu Fei's great achievements from shocking the Lord, in order to prevent Mayor Dong from returning, cause equity disputes, Zhao Go and his HR director Qin Hui, they jointly planned one, the most disgusting malicious layoffs in human history. 12 gold medals, 12 urgent orders in one day, forced Yu Fei's troops, who were winning the battle on the front line, to return to the court. It's like you're about to sign a big deal worth 100 million. The boss calls you suddenly and frantically. Let you return to the company immediately to fill in Xiao Dawn report. If you don't respond, he'll fire you. Wait for Yu Fei to come back. What awaited him was not a celebration banquet, but an interrogation room. Han Shizhong went to ask Qin Hui, what mistake did Yu Fei make? Where is the evidence? There is no need to exist. Translated into modern workplace blackness. That is, we want to optimize you. It's so frustrating. Is this Xiao Go still a human being? Teacher, can I travel through time and kill him? I don't want to be the emperor anymore. I'm going to be an assassin. Although it was 1,000 years ago. But the anger of being betrayed and wrongfully killed, it can still ignite the heart of every passionate young man. In various time and space, the reactions of emperors were even more intense. Kill the hero, or killed during the war. Does Zhao Go have Jianghu in mind? Although I burn books and embarrass Confucians. But for generals such as Wang Jian and Montaigne, what a trust that is. Without them, who will conquer the world for me? 12 gold medals. If it is my big man. Yu Fei has long been the great Sima general. Zhao Go, a man of this caliber, actually killed him. This is simply destroying the Great Wall. We are going to the Southern Song dynasty. We're going to chop up that Wan Yen Go. And that Qin Hui. We're going to skin him. This time I really have to peel it off. In the Southern Song dynasty, Linen Zhao Go. He was so frightened that he hid under the table. He heard the rebuke of future generations. I also felt that it came from Qin Huang and Hanwu. Even the scary one. Zhu Yuanzhang's contempt and murderous intention. Don't want. This is not intentional. You really want to live. Qin Hui was even more greedy because he saw the guards outside the palace looking at him in his eyes. It's no longer about awe, but naked hatred. So back to our topic. Is it cool to be an emperor? If you are Zhao Go, even if you are dressed in fine clothes and jade, live to 81 years old, but are you really happy in this life? You close your eyes every night. Will you see Yu Fei's blood? Will you hear the amazing sound of horse hooves? Are you worried? What will the history books say about you? Nailed on the pillar of shame for thousands of years. He is reviled by hundreds of millions of people every day. This is the cost of reputation paid by Zhao Go. Do you think this deal is worth it? The price of being stinky for eternity is worse than death. Finish talking about the bad Zhao Go. Let's talk about another stupid one. If Zhao Go did evil to save his life, then this next one. It's purely about attracting talent and extremely confident. Zhu Qizhen. This must be from the fourth brother Zhu's lineage. God of War sounds pretty good. Could it be that our Ming dynasty later produced someone who could fight? Comrade Zhu Yuanzhang, please take a slimming savior pill first. Because of the history that follows, might make you want to lift your coffin boards off, climb out and clear the portal. Zhu Qizhen was the sixth emperor of the Ming dynasty. When he was 20, I feel that I am also a chosen one. I want to imitate my great-grandfather Zhu Di, the imperial driver, personally conquer. Go and fight the Aura tribe in the north. Originally a young man, it's a good thing to want to make a difference. Moreover, the Ming dynasty was very powerful at that time. There are 3 most elite battalions in the world. Heavily armed firearms unit. This configuration is considered a double dog. In the command seat, it can also be a tie. But Zhu Qizhen, the entire army was annihilated. Completely annihilated. 200,000 troops. 3 camps. That is our Daming family background. All gone. Not only was the entire army wiped out, dozens of civil and military officials died. 4. Chow Yuan, the British official, died in the battle. Most outrageous of all, the emperor himself was captured. This is the famous Tumu fort change. Zhu Qizhen became a prisoner of the Walla people, but he has a good attitude. Eat and drink well in the enemy camp. Become a brother to the leader of Walla. He even helped the Walla people to open the city gate of Ming dynasty. Let people come in and rob. This series of sexy operations. He was called the Northern Beast, studying abroad by later generations. What are you doing? What are you doing? Where is the emperor? This must be an undercover agent sent by Walla. Laughter is a smile. But this is an extremely painful lesson. Why is this happening? Because Zhu Qizhen reused a eunuch, Wang Zhen. This Wang Zhen is a typical brainless micromanagement master. He has the final say on the march route. In order to let the people in his hometown see his majesty, he asked the army to take a detour. Later, I was afraid of trampling on my own crops, and let the army change its route. The 200,000 troops were walked by him like a dog, exhausted from walking in the wilderness. Eventually, water and food were cut off. They were slaughtered by the Aura cavalry like melons and vegetables. Wang Zhen, check for us. Is there this little brat now? We want to cut the body into pieces. And that Zhu Qizhen. He doesn't deserve the surname Zhu. He doesn't deserve to be emperor. It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace to our old Zhu family. Don't worry, Boss Zhu. The story is not over yet. After Zhu Qizhen was arrested, Ming dynasty has reached its most dangerous moment. There are only tens of thousands of old, weak and disabled soldiers in Beijing. The army of Walla came to the city. Everyone suggested moving the capital to Nanjing. If the capital was moved, Daming would become Nanming. History will repeat the tragedy of the Southern Song dynasty. Zhu Biao also looked pale. He did not expect that his father was most worried about the kingdom of eunuchs and the ruin of his descendants. It actually broke out concentratedly on one person. But this time, someone stood up. Yu Qian, the Minister of War. He is not an emperor, but he has more backbone than the emperor. He denounced in court and moved the capital. Those who move south can expand. He supported Zhu Qizhen's younger brother as the new emperor. Yao respected Zhu Qizhen as the supreme emperor. Then he wore a red robe. He spent all his wealth to organize the defense of Beijing. Under Yu Qian's command, the Ming dynasty held on. The battle to defend Beijing was a disaster. The national destiny of the Ming dynasty. By this weak scholar, he survived by force. Yu Qian is a good name. These are the ministers of our Ming dynasty. This is what has backbone. Compared to that trash Zhu Qizhen, 10,000 times stronger. It's a pity that good people are not rewarded. Later that foreign student Zhu Qizhen was put back. He launched a coup to seize the door. He regained the throne as husband. The first thing after graduation, just kill Yu Qian. Kill Yu Qian. That is the benefactor of Ming dynasty. That was the person who saved the Zhu family. What a beast. Teacher, stop talking. So healing. Why do good people always end up like this? This emperor system is really terrible. Yeah, that sucks. The classmates talked so much. Did you find a common thread? No matter whether the emperor is wise or foolish, diligence or laziness, the fault tolerance rate of this system is extremely low. When meeting a wise king, can the people take a breather? Meeting a foolish king is a disaster. The fate of the entire world is in the hands of one person. It's like putting a nuclear button on all of humanity. It was handed over to a randomly selected person. This is not scientific. This is also inconsistent with the investment principles of risk hedging. So the next time, I want to invite all the big guys. Conduct a joint trial of all dynasties. Let's not talk about history. Let's talk about the future. Is there a way? It can not only preserve the dignity of the royal family, it can also avoid the risk of extinction of the kingdom. Is there a system? It can make Ming dynasty, Han dynasty, and Qin dynasty really jump out of this one. An endless cycle of prosperity and decline. Have. Your Majesties. Dear bosses. Can you hear me? Afterlife. The one you said. How to break out of the cycle. What exactly is it? My great Qin. Is there really no cure? I don't want to kill anyone anymore. To measure. I would like to sit down and listen together. I just want to know how to prevent descendants from killing each other. As long as those prodigals can be cured. As long as there are no more beasts like Zhu Qizhen. We listen to whatever you say. Dear bosses. Your greatest pain is he is both the chairman and the CEO. You own the world and you want to govern it. This is so tiring. And the risks are too great. If your descendant is a genius, fine. If you are a fool or a prodigal, the company collapsed immediately. So my advice is separation of ownership and management rights. Plan A. The main force of the virtual army Republican Army is limited. Simply put, the emperor retained his title, wealth and glory. You are a symbol of the country, a mascot, and a god. But you don't care. Who's in charge? The cabinet and prime minister select a group of the smartest and most professional people. For example, Shang Yang, Xiao and Huang Xianling Yu Qian. Form a cabinet and let them quarrel. Let them make decisions and let them take the blame. Well done, you are the emperor's man, well appointed. The credit is yours. If he doesn't do a good job, the prime minister will step down and a new one will come in. The emperor remains sacrosanct. In this way, it doesn't matter even if your grandson is mentally retarded, because he just needs to sit on the dragon throne. Just smile, wave and stamp. The country is still run by a smart cabinet. Power falls away. When the time comes, empty. If it can be ignored, it can ensure that everything in the Qin dynasty will survive. It can guarantee that there will be no tragedy in which the second generation dies. It doesn't seem like it can't be considered. Liz, shut up. Listen to him continue. You mean to find a group of people to do the work for us? If you don't do well, kill them. Oh no. Just drive away. This is a bit like the prime minister we abolished. But this cabinet you are talking about, it seems more powerful. Take a look, everyone. The British Empire next door. That's what their queen does. The prime minister of flowing water, the Queen of Iron. The royal family has been passed down for hundreds of years. Still respected. And there is no need to worry about being beheaded. This is the golden cicada taking off its sheath. You hand over the most dangerous administrative power. This also gives up the risk of rebellion. People are not living well. He only scolds the prime minister for being incompetent. He would not scold the emperor for being unjust. Because the emperor doesn't care. This is the true vertical arch. Arrives vertically. This is exactly what Taoism calls the highest realm. If it were me, I would have known this method. Why bother reviewing memorials until late at night every day? Why worry about Qingqian not being able to handle government affairs well? That is to say, I can hunt poor immortals every day. Accompany me as my husband. And there are people in the treasury helping me manage it. There are people from the Huns who are helping me fight. Isn't this a magical day? But if the cabinet capital has too much power, what should I do if I want to usurp the throne? For example, that Chow Chow, such as that Sima Yi. Good question, Boss Chu. This involves planning. B. Constitution and military nationalization. Although the emperor does not care about administration, but because you are a symbol of the country, the military remains nominally loyal to you, or allegiance to the constitution. You retain final veto power, or the right to dissolve parliament. What's more, we need to establish a constitution with a set of rules of the game. In this set of rules, the cost of rebellion is infinite, and through legal means, the benefits of being prime minister are high enough. When careerists find out, become prime minister by running for office, you can take over the power. Why should he risk it? The risk of annihilating the 9 tribes is to rebel. Ambition can be tamed by the system. We don't believe it. Later I said you said it nicely. Give power to the cabinet. Leave it to outsiders. So what if the cabinet head wants to rebel? If Shanggu colludes? Officials have neglected the royal family. You are taking over our family's empire. Become a meal for those civil servants and businessmen. In our Ming dynasty, businessmen can only wear commoners. Silk is not allowed because they are parasites. You now. But it is ridiculous to allow capital to take over. Boss Zhu, your cognitive limitations are limited. Daming is destined to miss it. The most important version update in human history. Do you think I'm talking politics to you? No. I'm talking to you about survival. Zhu Yuanzhang, you are proud of the Ming army, relying on the spear ship and those crude fire rushes. You think this is already strong. But if I tell you, in the far west, there is a power emerging. Once this power is awakened, your proud army of millions. It looked like a paper toy in front of him to make you give up. Let's do one last war game. Assume that your Ming dynasty maintains the status quo. Continue to develop your small farmer economy. Continue to trample businessmen underfoot. And on the other side of this world, there is a country. They took my advice into consideration. A constitutional monarchy was established. Protected private property. Encourage businessmen to take risks and invent. 200 years later, the two sides met at sea. The program screen changes. This time I describe it in words. Induced collective hallucination. In the mind of Zhu Yuanzhang Yingjing Luche, a horrifying picture emerged that had never been seen before. On the blue sea. Then he turned over the soldier's heart, holding a delicate sword, and a group appeared on the other side of the sea level. A giant steel beast emitting billowing black smoke. They did not turn over and ran very fast. Their hulls were covered with iron armor, making them invulnerable. What is that? Walk without turning. Is that witchcraft? This is the power of the Industrial Revolution. Zhu Yuanzhang, a businessman you despise. In pursuit of profit, they would invent the steam engine to improve artillery. Go build the iron sword. And those of you who only read the books of sages, officials who can only write 8-legged essays, face these things. I can only say one word about miracles. Then the country's gate was opened empty. Land cession and compensation. The descendants were slaughtered and the ancestral temple was burned down. What you call the foundation of everything, under the steel tracks of industrial capital, can't even hold on for a second. Zhu Yuanchang's face turned pale. The whole person was limp on the throne. He wanted to argue. I want to say that the name is invincible, but the scene just now was too real. Iron seat ship. You don't need wind to run. There really is such a thing in this world. Not now, but as long as the system allows it. There will be one soon. Boss Zhu, you have killed all the heroes. The prime minister was abolished. Confining the people to the land. Going to sea is strictly prohibited. Do you think you are protecting Daming? In fact, you are treating Ming dynasty. Become a closed can of various kinds. And on the outside of the can, wolves are evolving. Wait until the wolves grow fangs. The day the can was ripped open, your descendants don't even have a chance to beg for mercy. This sentence was like a punch in the gut. Completely shattered Zhu Yuanzhang's psychological defense. It was not just Zhu Yuanzhang who captured Yingjing. Looking at the bronze sword in his hand, suddenly it felt like a toy. Lease. If there really are such steel behemoths in future generations, can my Great Wall be able to stop it? Your Majesty cannot stop it. The power of artillery. It's probably beyond human power. Changes must be made. I don't want to be a canned person. My great Qin will be the purifying wool. I want that. No matter what kind of constitutional monarchy it is. Or some cabinet. As long as we can build that smoking iron ship. I agree to anything. Get sick for love. Do you see clearly? Don't practice riding and shooting anymore. Let me study that steam engine. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to reason with the ancients. Just put a Gatling gun on their head and tell them. Times have changed, and the results are often better. So everyone, through the deduction just now, everyone should understand the virtual army republic is not just to keep your throne. It is also to liberate your country's productivity. Only the willfulness of imperial power was limited. The law can take effect. Only the law takes effect. Only private property can be protected. Only property is safe. Only businessmen dare to invest. Only craftsmen dare to invent. Capital can be accumulated. This is the underlying logic of national modernization. Do you want to die together with the methods of your ancestors? I still want to bear the pain of breaking my wrist. Change to an empire on which the sun never sets. Zhu Yuanzhang, especially you. That maritime policy of yours. It is the biggest failure in the history of Chinese civilization. You took China from maritime civilization, forcibly brought back the Lust civilization. If you lift the sea boundary immediately, encourage trade. 500 years later, the world's lingua franca. Maybe it's Chinese, not English. We are confused. We just want to guard against bandits. But I didn't expect that the road was blocked. Diao delivers the message. Open the sea. Open the sea immediately. Whoever dares to stop him will be skinned. Teacher, your ability to deceive is too strong. In a few words, the national policy of the Ming dynasty was changed. This is not deception. Is this a dimensionality reduction attack? I have a hunch. The history books are about to be rewritten. Don't worry. The real big test hasn't started yet. 1000. 793 years. Place de la Concorde during the French Revolution. The square was crowded with people. That's rags. Civilians with fanatical faces. They held pitchforks and sticks in their hands, shouting in an unintelligible language. But that emotion, the kind of rage that would tear the old world apart, it is common to all mankind. In the center of the square stands a huge wooden shell. A handful hung on the shell, a gleaming triangular blade, and one under the guillotine. A fat man wearing gorgeous silks and looking frightened. He was being roughly pressed to the wooden board by several soldiers. Who is that? Look at the king of the West wearing 40 clothes. Louis XVI, King of France. He also tried to reform. He was also a good person, but he woke up too late. Reform is too slow, indecisive and erratic. Finally, his people lost patience. The heavy sharp blade whizzed down. The bones of Louis XVI were instantly cut off. The head with the crown rolled down in the basket. The tennis court erupted with cheers from Coral to Xiaofan. Silly gentlemen, why do they hate him so much? Have you seen the assassin? Jing Ku had seen the rebel Qinsheng. But you have never seen this. Public trial by the people. A public execution of a monarch. That fanatical cheer pen. Any army scares you. Because of hunger. Because of injustice. Because of Louis XVI and his nobles. While enjoying the privileges, let the people eat grass. When the people didn't even have grass to eat, they eat the king. Zhu Yuanzhang looked at the falling head, but he never imagined that one day, this knife will be placed on the emperor's neck. This is called decency. If you take the initiative to reform, establish a constitutional monarchy, build a virtual military republic, you can still look like the Queen of England, sitting in a carriage. Accept the cheers of the people. Enjoy the glory and wealth. This is called living decently. If you cling to the imperial power, refusing to share benefits suppresses public opinion. Then wait until the day when the pressure cooker explodes. The people will help you die with dignity. Like Louis XVI. Just like Nicholas II. Just like Emperor Chongzhen. Dear emperors of eternity, you are all smart people. Is this multiple choice question difficult to do? He is the virtual king who chooses everything. Or choose the true king on the guillotine. I understand and have been taught. Rather than let future generations struggle in a pool of blood, it's better to set the rules now. Maybe Su Jun is the only right way to preserve the bloodline of the auditorium. That's all. My life. Please ask in vain first. If you can get a big man, the kingdom is long. This little power in my hands. No harm in dividing it up. Just avoid the guillotine. Appeared in front of Weiyang Palace. Okay. We will believe you this time. We won't remove the foreskin. Let's go and establish a constitution. But you have to agree, this method. Can you really save the lives of our old Zhu family? Just adapt to the times. The people will forgive you. You will even be remembered. Because that's a civilized compromise. To the feudal emperors of China for 5,000 years. A group craniotomy was performed. Okay. The bell is about to ring. This class is your last class. Mine too. The wheel of history has already turned because of your awakening. And a deflection occurred. I don't know what the world will be like in the future, but I believe it will be more interesting than now. Classmates, and your majesty. Remember, history is not a little girl who can be dressed up. History is a game for the brave. Goodbye. Teacher Yi. The school board just called. Said that our school's live broadcast room exploded. Several tens of millions of people are watching online. The trending search exploded. Your class is being discussed all over the internet. There were also calls from several museum directors. Ask about the jade you just took out. Is it true? They'll give it to you. Director. Use it to build a museum for the school. I didn't tell anyone. At the moment when I walked out of the classroom just now, the sky in my mind that connects all time and space. The system displays the last prompt. Mission accomplished. Degree of civilized interference. SSS level. Historical lines have been reshaped. In that piece of virtual wind that only I can see, countless golden threads are intertwining in the sky. That was a reorganization of the timeline. It is the rebirth of a parallel universe.